The most difficult thing for any creative looking to become professional is monetizing your creative talents. It sounds so simple, but I think the reason why this is so difficult, one of the reasons why this is so difficult, is because your right brain, your left brain are constantly at odds with each other. I always akin this to two friends going on a road trip. One of them is just jumping right in the car, like, yeah, let's go. And, we'll figure out where we want to do when we want to get there and where we're going to go. We're going to figure that too along the way. Very, very off the cuff, very spontaneous, very fun, right? Then the other friend is like, well, hold on. Let's get a budget first. Let's get a plan of where we're going, maybe any excursions we want to do when we get to that destination. Let's make sure we pack enough clean clothes because we don't want to be running out of clothes and all this other stuff, right? So one side of your brain is like super duper practical. The other side of the brain is all creative, all fun, all spontaneous, right? And definitely, at least for me, this has been the most difficult part, just getting these two sides of the brain to work well in tandem with each other. The other challenge is that because I'm very passionate about creating music, it truly is my favorite thing to do with my time on this earth. It's work that I would do for free because I enjoy it so much. But because it's work that I would do for free, I may not be accurately charging enough for my time or anything for my time, and then you're liable to having people take advantage of you or rip you off, this and that. Whatever, creatives in any industry, not just music, are constantly taken advantage of, unfortunately. So you need to make sure that you're having a positive, healthy business so then you're not living this starving artist, stereotypical lifestyle, right? So the very first thing that I found worked for me when I started selling my services was I didn't jump all in with music. I had something else going on at the same time and still do today, actually. Currently, my work situation is during the day, I work a food delivery app called Instacart, which if you guys don't know what that is, it's kind of like DoorDash, but specifically for groceries. And then I, of course, still work on music clients and everything like that. And if I have, too many music client projects, I just drop the Instacart shifts. And the reason why these gig work apps are so good is because of what I just said. If you have a lot of work coming through, then you don't need to corroborate with your boss to get approved to have your day off or trade with a coworker for somebody else to take your shift. You just simply don't work at that point in time, and there's really no penalty so long as you're keeping a high enough customer rating and you're not violating terms of service. So, don't rip people off, don't commit fraud, don't be an asshole, stuff that is, in general is very easy for the average person to accomplish. Truly, the most valuable resource is time because it's finite. So if you're currently in, traditional W-2 job, look into a gig work app to see if you could at least replace the income that you're earning from your traditional W-2 job, because just having total freedom over your schedule is such a blessing, right? Have peace of mind knowing that, okay, I'm not going to be starving if I don't land a project with this client or this record doesn't go anywhere. It's not a commercial success or anything. If I get dropped from this tour or whatever, it's no big deal because I still have the money coming in to help pay for my life, essentially. So that would be the first thing that I would focus on is, don't just jump all right into it right now, not immediately. And speaking of not diving into things immediately, unless if you have an extensive portfolio of solid projects, do not charge for your time. Work for free for a little while. And this is the reasoning behind that. It might seem like I'm kind of contradicting myself saying that, you need to make sure you're valuing yourself properly so that you're not living this, stereotypical starving artist life, right? But the problem when people are considering working with someone new is that they don't know who you are. They don't know any of your past work. You don't have any client testimonials to show off. You may or may not have any marketable skills like certifications or formal education. So they're taking on a lot of extra risk by wanting to work with you, by someone who's brand new and doesn't have any of those things I just mentioned yet. So to minimize the risk for the client as much as possible, you need to work for free. And by working with them for free, you're able to build up a portfolio. You could get client testimonials at that point, and you could start to consider charging more for your time once you've accumulated more value in these other areas, right? You kind of need to prove yourself in the marketplace is the business term that my grandfather taught me. And if you have no proof that you know what you're doing, no one's going to want to pay you even, $1 or whatever to do your stuff, right? So what I did was, while I was in college, and actually this was after my community college education, because for my first 3 years, I was in community college. I lost one semester due to COVID, and the other semester I lost because I changed academic majors. I was actually a conservation student at one point in time. Some people are like, really? Like conservation? And then others like, oh yeah, I could see that. You're total tree hugger, total hippie vibes, But so yeah, long story short, I was there a little longer. And then at the tail end of that, I started taking on work for free after I did a summer internship at a commercial studio in my area. It was in Rochester, New York at the time. And during this whole process of the next 2 years, I was working exclusively for free because I didn't have that portfolio yet. But I was able to gain that portfolio, build up some client testimonials. So by the time I graduated college, I was able to start charging a little bit of money for my time. And I was able to gain pretty much all of those clients back once I did start to pay for my time, because they recognized that, hey, this guy's been working for free for me for a while. He does good work. He's very consistent. He's reliable. So yeah, I'm okay. I'm comfortable with paying him I think $15 to $50 per song is what I was charging at the time, which is, not a lot of money, obviously, but it is better than zero. And at the end of the day, as long as you're seeing progress, just keep on going. Because when you're running a service-based business, which if you are providing music production services, it is all service-based. You are making a product at the end of it, but it's a lot of, customer service and, dealing with people, right? You're a public servant, essentially, is how I like to look at it. While you are doing this service-based business, the only direction your prices should be going is up. So if you're working for free for a little while, then you can start charging $15. $15 becomes $30, $30 becomes $50, $50 becomes $100, and so on and so on. But you need to have enough proof that you're providing the value that you say you are before you start raising these prices up. Otherwise, people are looking at you like, okay, so I understand that you are, a Pro Tools certified engineer, or you have a college level education or whatever, or maybe won some songwriting competitions, but like there's no way for me to see your past work or client testimonials, so I don't think you're worth the $300 you're asking for. So you need to meet people where they're at, I guess is what I'm saying right now, because where you're currently at is at the very beginning. And at the very beginning, you're going to be working clients that don't have a lot of money anyways. And some people are a little concerned that as you raise your prices, you're going to lose like all your clients, essentially. I can honestly say that every single time I've raised my prices, I've always made more money and I've gotten more clients out of it. And the reason is because when you increase your prices, the value of your clientele also increases, because there will be a little bit of a churn rate of current clients that you had that once you raise your prices up, you just are outpriced of their budget, and that has happened to me before. But these lower level clients that maybe they were a lower quality client, like kind of difficult to work with, or they just don't have as much money. Now I'm working with clients that do have that money. And usually when someone's willing to pay more money to solve a problem, they're more serious about solving that problem. You'll have better communication and just a barrel over experience for both you and the client, right? So don't be super worried about, if you double your prices today, that you're just going to lose everybody. So long as you've done the groundwork and have built up a solid portfolio. Also a bonus tip here to build your website, because the website space that you own, this virtual real estate, it'll never go away. It'll never be changed by a social media algorithm. You'll never be at risk most of the time, unless like your web host goes out of business. But like if you build your entire business on Instagram, for example, if something ever happens to Instagram, you're all good, because you can redirect that traffic to your website, where people can have the full information about your prices, your portfolio, and your experience, your story, anything else that you'd like to share on there. It's not about driving, crazy amounts of traffic over there, but you at least want to have a destination destination where you can send people, be like, yeah, you can read up on my projects and full client testimonials, check out full projects there. It's like a central hub for all of your stuff, right? And I found the website to be super duper valuable, even though there's a large segment of my generation that believes it is not valuable. But you need to use social media as an avenue to drive traffic to that website. And then that's where people can see that you've established your credibility, that what you're saying on social media seems to corroborate what you're saying on your website. And then people are way more comfortable spending more money on you because you're providing more value up front. So that's the whole key with that thing. And while we're talking about social media in general, it is important in today's day and age. You know, we live in a very digital world, and just the amount of people that you can reach from consistent social media posting exponentially higher than if you just had a poster up around town or a billboard or something like that advertising you and your services. I think that there's something like 4 billion people with a B have access to the internet these days. So that's the size of the market that you have to pull from. Social media is very, very important. However, do not concern yourself with posting consistently at first. You already have enough going on right now. What's more important is educating yourself on the business, proper business acumen. Concern yourself with your clients first and foremost, especially if you were like me and you didn't have a portfolio, client testimonials, any marketable skills at that point. You need that time to just get better at your craft with the free projects that you have coming in. And then you'll be able to get better at doing the thing. Becomes easier, not as much thinking that you need, active thinking, I should say, that you need to do, because you're not learning the tools that you need to do to make this piece of art. And then once that is not taking up too much time, active thinking space on your brain, then you can get into doing the social media content consistently. I don't think you should be super concerned with the results from your social media posting. I think you just need to make something that you find value in yourself and share that with other people, and hopefully they find value in it as well. Because when you make something for yourself, you end up making it for other people. So don't worry so much about, I need to keep up with like 3 posts a day or whatever. When you're first starting out, just do not focus on social media. Post when you can. But what's most important is you need to get better at your craft first. And then once you aren't actively thinking about those things anymore, you free up thinking space in your brain to start thinking about social media and how you can capture what you're doing, show off to people like, this is who I am and this is what I do, and here's a little bit of value for you guys. And if you want more value, then hopefully they'll interact with you and your business, so long as you're setting up all the proper avenues to facilitate those conversations. I think that's a great place to start with, a great frame of mind to start with when you're a beginner in terms of social media. One thing that I have been struggling with over the past couple weeks, at the time of recording this video, I was living with my folks in Virginia. I moved in with them after college. I was originally from Western New York, about an hour or so southeast of Rochester. I think I talked about this in my episode 0 a little bit. But one of the things that I've been struggling with is time management in terms of my sleep schedule. Because right now I do Monday through Friday as my work week, and I need to make sure I get in my day job with Instacart, the gym, food, making sure I'm eating properly, and music somehow within that. And I tried for a few days waking up at 5 a.m. It was awful. It was god awful. By the third day, I was supposed, at least I think, I was supposed to be less tired and more energized than I was when I started. And I was the exact opposite. I was way more tired, way more exhausted. So the past couple days before recording this episode, I actually just took off from Instacart completely just because I needed time to just, be at home and sleep right. I realized that naturally I fall asleep between midnight and 1, and I wake up at around 8 a.m. And when I woke up at 8 yesterday, I felt fully energized. I was awake and I was like, all right, let's get in here and tackle this. I was working through a revision for a client yesterday, and I was able to get done, that much quicker, and I was that more alert and just on and with it, I was actually fixing an issue yesterday's session that I think I kind of caused by working music at the end of the day when I wasn't as fresh. So I found that, okay, I need to make sure I'm doing music when I'm fresh. Waking up at 5 a.m. is not for me. So not being at odds with my natural circadian rhythm. In other words, your national sleep pattern. Natural sleep pattern. I bet the national sleep pattern's kind of fucked up here in America. But your natural sleep pattern, don't go at odds with that, because you do have genetic predispositions to when you naturally fall asleep and when you naturally wake up. And when you go against that too much, you just lower your overall productivity, not just for your music, but all the other stuff that you got to do in your life, all your other responsibilities, especially if you live on your own like I do, and there's literally nobody else in your household to help with these life admin tasks, Yeah, that's been a very, very interesting one. And not a lot of people really talk about this, I've found. And, when I say circadian rhythm, I don't just mean like, you sleep in until like, noon every single day and then you do absolutely nothing throughout the rest of the day. Like you're just at home playing video games. I mean, if you're someone like me and you're up until, midnight, 1 a.m., you wake up at a.m., and then you still accomplish all the things that you got to do throughout the day. You found yourself the most productive at that time. I want to make sure there's a clear difference between making sure you're not at odds with your internal clock and just being a lazy bum, right? But not a lot of people talk about the importance of sleep, just in general. It's an incredible asset. I think, in my opinion, the two most important assets for you in general are your time and your sleep. So you need to make sure that what you're doing when you're going to bed, when you're waking up, it's optimized so that you're getting the most amount of quality sleep possible, because you don't want to be like me and then going in with your client's project when you're not fresh and you're exhausted and then you're making a bunch of boneheaded mistakes. You want to avoid that as much as possible. And I guess my final piece of advice and I've been thinking about this a lot as well within the past couple weeks, now that I've been getting a little busier with songwriting and production projects. And there's been some issues with a couple of clients, right? Where we are having to pause production, or they just take a while to get certain things done, or, this, that, and the other thing. The creative process is a very messy one. Rarely does it ever go super duper smooth. Most of the time, I can get it to go off with as few bumps in the road as possible. But, sometimes some projects just take longer than others, or it just doesn't work out. And just remind yourself that at the end of the day, it's only music. Nobody dies. Okay? I need to say that again because I did not understand this for a long time. It's just music. Nobody dies. So if someone stiffs you for money that you should have had that they just don't pay you, if it ultimately doesn't work out with the client, if you have poor experiences with the project and you need to, call it off, essentially, if you lose money on a project, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. We're not ER surgeon or something like that. If we make mistakes, it's not like someone's life is at risk. I mean, the song's at risk, potentially, but usually if it doesn't work out with you and the client, then that client goes on and finds someone that's more compatible for them, or they just do it themselves. And then you move on and find a better quality client. And most of the times after you have a poor experience with a project, the next experience that you have is way more positive and way more fulfilling than you had with your current negative experience. So just understand that that's all temporary. It'll fade away, and there's always going to be the next client coming on down the road, because I think as well as I do that the music that we work on, it's not going to be our last project anytime soon. So when you have those unfortunate experiences, just keep on chugging away. Like I said before, as long as you're seeing a positive improvement, as long as you see the line going in the right direction, you're doing okay, so don't concern yourselves too much when things don't work out. And I gotta tell you, man, this life right here it is hard. Any creative anything, I'm sure anybody would tell you online or in person that is a writer, that's a dancer, that's, a director, that's a whatever. This is the most difficult thing I argue that you could do in civilian life. And I think it's just because as creatives, we think very differently from, the average person. And we're hardwired to, go with the pack and safety numbers and all that stuff. So the ones that are innovative, that think outside the box, that want to go into a different direction, it's a very scary thing, and people are fearful of what they don't understand. And this isn't a whole oh, woe is me type of thing, or like holier than thou speech, but it's just why it's so difficult. Like, that's the main reason why it's so difficult, is like we just see the world in a different lens from the vast majority of other people. Like, maybe with the people on the planet here right now, maybe 10% of the people could be, a professional creative. And even though you may not need this stuff to survive, like you do need food and water and shelter and medicine and stuff like that, we do need it to live. We do need it to enrich our lives, because it's great that we are still living longer and healthier lives and everything, but then what for? Like what comes after that, So that's why the work that we're doing as artists is so important. It's so valuable, especially if you are an independent artist and you're in business for yourself and you're able to run a healthy business while contributing to the culture like that. It's truly one of the most incredible experiences you can have in your entire life. Your most rewarding experience. I always say that every single song you write, every single beat that you make, every single artist that you produce, every single concert that you do, it's a lot of work, tremendous amount of work, but it is 100% worth it in the end.